Hey guys, this is E10 Sun from SunBros. Today I'm really excited to be bringing you guys this brand new video. But before we get started with that, I want to make sure I remind you guys on how to get entered in for a chance to win our guaranteed skin giveaways that we do every Sunday night during our 1-hour question and answer live stream. All you gotta do is make sure you're subscribed to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and comment below with your in-game name and which skin you'd like to receive on either the NA or EU servers under 700 vouchers. And remember, the more videos that you do this with that are uploaded each week, the higher chance you have to win. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get started with this Batman how to build video, and I apologize for how late this is. Cal and I have been extremely busy and it has been really crazy to get this video out, but I have done some pretty thorough testing with the build that I have come up with for Batman, and I can tell you for a fact that it is indeed awesome and you guys are going to love it. Alright, and as always guys, we're going to be starting with the hero page, discussing a little bit about who Batman is and what he brings to the table, so we can best figure out how to build him, so you guys can enjoy that. Okay, so let's start with Batman's passive, Cape Crusader. When Batman approaches an enemy hero, his movement speed increases by 20%. His first ability, Forearm Strike. So let's first note that the cooldown starts at 5 seconds and stays there. Batman attacks with his forearm blades and deals physical damage to nearby enemies. One random enemy will take double damage. The second ability is Batarang. Now the cooldown starts at 9 seconds for this ability, and it goes down to 5.6 seconds by level 6. That's one of the reasons why I level up Batarang before I level up Forearm Strike. Even though the damage goes up on Forearm Strike, I love reducing the cooldown of Batarang so I can do both those abilities more often in fights and in clearing the jungle. Okay, Batman launches an explosive Batarang that deals physical damage to enemies and reduces their movement speed. So it's worth noting that the Batarang can go, it essentially gets shot in a straight line, and everyone who gets hit by it is affected. So it doesn't just hit the first person and stop, you can hit a bunch of people with it. So it's going to hit them all, do damage, and reduce their movement speed. Additionally, the target will receive additional physical damage equal to 24% of their lost HP. So it's 24% of the HP that they have currently lost. So if they have 10,000 and they've lost, 1,000, then they'll lose 240 additional HP. And then after 3 seconds, enemies hit are stunned if if attacked by Batman again, and Batman restores HP. So if somebody has the Batarang above their head, before the 3 seconds is up, so you'll see a little Batarang symbol that appears above their head for 3 seconds before it explodes and deals the additional damage based on their lost HP. You can hit them with anything, whether it's his ultimate, the first ability, an auto attack, and Batman will restore health as well as the enemies will be stunned. So you can go into a team fight, hit 3 people with a Batarang, and then hit them all with your Forearm Strike or your ultimate and stun all 3 of them. So it's really, really solid. And then you gain health based on all of that. So it's really nice. Really solid ability. Batman's ultimate is Dark Knight. Now the cooldown starts at 36 seconds, goes down to 24 by level 3. The damage also scales really well from 660 to 1000, and the 80 scaling on all of Batman's abilities is pretty solid. Batman conceals himself behind a colony of bats and becomes invisible after 1.5 seconds. So it's not instantly that he becomes invisible. It does take a second. So using it to escape isn't nearly as easy as you think. Batman's invisibility lasts for 30 seconds, so he can actually be you read that if you guys have not played against Batman or played him, or not really looked into him very much, that is actually indeed correct. Batman can stay invisible for a whopping 30 seconds. The only way that he comes out of invisibility is if he attacks or he stays within 6 units of an enemy hero for more than 3 seconds. Now, when you are coming in on an enemy, once you get to a certain range, they will get they'll get a symbol pop up above their head, essentially telling them, hey, Batman is nearby. And then it says, if the ability is used again while invisible, he will fly towards the target direction, dealing a bunch of physical damage to enemies in his path. And then when he when you use the second part of the ability, he'll gain, or when he comes out of invisibility rather, he'll gain 50% attack speed for 5 seconds. So the ultimate is hands down the foundation of his toolkit and what he brings to the table, and it's very multifaceted, so it's very interesting to kind of absorb all of that. Really solid, really solid ultimate, and it's an ability we're really going to use a lot. Now, let's go ahead and go to the equipment page and take a look at it. Now, Batman is, look, you can play Batman top lane, but Batman is at heart a jungler. He's everything a jungler represents. He has a great gank ability. He's got good wave clear, and he's very good at securing objectives. He is a jungler through and through, and that's how we're going to be building him today. I'm not even going to offer you a secondary top lane build for him because he's really a hardcore jungler. Now, that doesn't mean you can't play him top lane if you absolutely want to. It just means that I would recommend the jungle build for him top lane. Also, as the jungle up that we're going to be going with in Soul Reaver is really, really good on him. It has everything he wants. Attack damage, a little bit of lifesteal early game, which really just gives you a really nice early game sustain to help you jungle clear, without having to back, and with just being able to gank with more health than you would have before. And then 15% cooldown speed. So you're going to get AD, lifesteal, just enough to really make it worth it early game, and then cooldown speed. And then we have the unique passive Wild. Increases attack damage by 3 for monsters killed. So any of the jungle monsters that you kill, whether it's Dragon or Dark Slayer or Blue or Red or any of the other jungle minions, even including Seagull, you gain 3 attack damage for every stack, and you can stack it up to 15 times, which gives you an additional 45 attack damage, giving this item, Soul Reaver, a total of 125 attack damage once you get your 15 stacks. This item is a no-brainer on Batman. It makes sense 100%. It matches all of the things that Batman brings to the table. Okay, I see some people building Null Cleaver and then just going on to build other items, but Soul Reaver is actually a very solid item on him, and I think that's a massive mistake. I don't see the point of this. I think Soul Reaver is definitely worth 1750, so it's 1,000 more gold than Null Reaver. But it is a very worthwhile item. Well, it gives him, cooldown reduction, which he could use to be able to do his abilities more often, as well as the nice AD at 125, which is one of the highest AD items in the game. Comes in at number 2. Okay, so then we're going to go to the boots. We're going to be getting Gilded Greaves because Batman's only real, especially early game, Batman's only real problem that he's going to be facing is going to be getting crowd control. Obviously, as all assassins, he comes in, he has a stun, a stun possibility with Batarang, and if you're playing him correctly, you should get that stun off. So he can come in, he can do a lot of burst damage. Getting out isn't necessarily a strong suit, but if you are needing to get out of dodge for any reason, the last thing you want is to be, crowd controlled until you're dead. So we're going with Gilded Greaves. We're going to take advantage of the magic damage is nice, or magic defense is nice. Obviously, we're going to be able to take less damage from mages and mage assassins like Tulin and Raz and all those guys. And we're going to get the movement speed buff, of course, which is nice for Batman. A lot of people like to take Hermes Select because of the how good movement speed can be on Batman, help him roam faster. But I think the ability to get out of dodge in a dangerous situation is more important. But the important part about Gilded Greaves, and the reason we're taking this item, is because of unique passive resistance, which reduces all crowd control effects by 35%. So if you were to get crowd controlled in any way, slow, stun, knock up, knock back, freeze, petrify, all of those things, instead of going, if there's a 1 second crowd control, instead of being a 1 second stun, it's going to be a 0.65 second stun, simply because you got these boots, which it's just, they're the best boots in the game. They're the most worthwhile boots, especially for any hero that might be susceptible to crowd control. Okay, then we're going back to the attack section, and we're going to be getting our first attack item, besides Soul Reaver, of course, our first item from the attack page. And the item that we're going to be going with, of course, is Spear Longinus. And there's a couple reasons why we're going with Spear Longinus, and it's pretty simple. Number one, actually, it's really the same reasons I explained behind Soul Reaver. We're getting 80 attack damage. We're getting 15% more cooldown reduction, which gives us a total of 30% cooldown reduction. And obviously, the attack damage is what we want to build. So, because Batman scales so well with his AD, building his attack damage is really important so that his abilities which are the most important parts of his kit. If you're not going to win with Batman with his auto attacks, now yes, they're going to do damage, they're not going to be worthless, but you're going to win with Batman because of his incredible ability kit and by doing all those things in the right order and timed correctly. You're also getting 150 armor, so now we have 110 magic resist or magic defense from the boots. We have 150 armor from this, so we have a little bit of tankiness. Nothing earth-shattering or anything like that, but it's enough to make a difference. And then, of course, the passive is actually surprisingly effective on Batman, where he decreases target armor by 50 on hit for 5 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. Building the stacks on Batman is not as hard as you might think. When he engages invisible against an enemy target and he's going to jump them, the most common, combo set of abilities is going to be to throw your Batarang out, ultimate in. So what you've done is you've hit them with the Batarang, you've slowed them to help you secure the ultimate attack. So the Batarang's 1 attack, 50 decreased armor. Then you hit it with your ultimate, 50 decreased armor. And then of course you're going to hit it with your first ability, and then you're going to do 50 decreased armor, then you're going to auto attack. So really, by the time the Batarang is going to explode, so getting to those 5 stacks actually not as difficult as you might think. Spear Longinus is really, again, one of those items, super solid all around on him, and now we've got ourselves 30% cooldown reduction. So let's real quick go back to his hero page and see. The forearm strike has a 5-second cooldown. We're already starting to chip that away. Remember, Batarang starts at 9.6 or 9.6, and it goes all the way down to 5.6, and of course the ultimate starts at 36 inches out of 24. So we're already starting to build that, and we're going to finish off that cooldown reduction with our next item, which of course is going to be our first defensive item, and that's going to be Frost Cape. Now, Frost Cape is important on Batman for a myriad of reasons. First one being cooldown reduction, obviously, is a big deal. We're getting 10 more percent. That's going to top us off at the 40% maximum. Then we're going to be getting 250 more armor, which gives us a total of 400, which isn't a lot, but it's also not a little bit. I mean, 400 armor is decent enough, especially considering the game is very heavy on attack damage dealing heroes like marksmen and assassins and off tanks and tanks that most of them do attack damage rather than magic damage. Then we're going to get 800 max HP, which just makes us a little bit beefier. And this is the point. So Batman's early game is extremely, extremely strong. And the thing that you want to do with the strength of his early game is build upon it so that you can help yourself get fed. Soul Reaver and Spear Longinus are perfect items to really help Batman get fed early by making his early game even stronger than it already is. Now, his early game is already strong because his ultimate at level 4 does a ridiculous amount of damage, but the more we can do to help that by reducing cooldown and by, of course, giving him more attack damage, the better. Now we're getting Frost Cape at a point in the game where Batman starts to need more tankiness and need the ability to stick around a little bit longer, as he won't necessarily one-shot people. So Frost Cape gives us that with the cooldown reduction, but it also gives us the ability to stay around a little bit longer with the armor and max HP. Now, the other thing that it does give us is the ability to stick around people a little bit longer with the passive elemental power. After using an ability, the next normal attack reduces movement speed by 30%. So we're reducing the movement speed by 30%, making it more likely and easier for us to stick around. Because remember, after we do the ultimate in the Batman combo, we get a 50% attack speed boost for 5 seconds. So Batman can do some auto attacking pretty heavily after that. And remember, the cooldowns, we're just taking the cooldowns down, and we'll go over what they're at in a second. Additionally, it's going to deal 150 physical damage plus 20 additional damage for each level gain. So it's just getting a nice little burst of damage, a slow, and it's going to make us more tanky. It's a really solid item. Now that we've gotten our 40% cooldown reduction, let's go back to the Batman page and see where we're at. Okay, so of course, the first ability, Forearm Strike, is a 5-second static cooldown. It doesn't go down at all throughout the 6 levels. So when we add our 40% cooldown reduction, we are reducing that by 2 seconds down to 3 seconds. So now our cooldown on the Forearm Strike is a solid 3 seconds, which is really not very much time, and it is a pretty hard-hitting ability. I actually like it a lot, but I think it works well with his kit. Next, of course, we have Batarang, which has a 5-second cooldown at level 6, which is pretty much where we're going to be on Batarang, because it's going to be the first ability that we actually max out. Now, when we add our 40% cooldown reduction to that, that's going to reduce the cooldown by 2.24 seconds. And when we take that off to 5.6, our end result is 3.36. So now not only can we forearm strike every 3 seconds, now we can batarang every 3.3 seconds. So when you get into when you get into the thick of things in a team fight, or you're jumping people and maybe you weren't able to one-shot them, which Batman frequently can do against squishies, now you have a little bit of tankiness because of your Frost Cape, your Gilded Greaves, and your Spear Longinus, but you also have the means via cooldown to really get that damage back quickly. So now, instead of having to rely on, minimal, not super, hard-hitting auto attacks or normal attacks, you can actually get your second and second ability back quicker in order to be able to get back in the fight. Now remember, the other awesome part is with Batarang, when you hit somebody who's got the Batarang symbol above their head, they get stunned. So if you hit somebody with a Batarang and then hit them with a forearm strike again, they're going to get stunned and you're going to gain health back. So Batman actually has a little bit of sustain in fights. The health is a little bit more than you might think. Okay, so let's go back to the equipment page and continue our build. We're 4 items deep. Now, at this point in the game, we're trying to figure out what exactly does Batman need next. Now, one of the things that a lot of people complain about with Batman is that he tends to fall off late game. So I really wanted to make sure that I made Batman a true assassin. I understand that Batman doesn't have a very good get out of jail free card, right? When Batman engages, it's a pretty hard engage and he doesn't really have a great way to get out. Now, I'm counting on Batman late game to be able to have the kind of damage I need in order to help me one-shot the squishies. Now, Batman's job as an assassin, first and foremost, is going to be to jump the back line where the mage and marksman generally hang out and to be able to kill them. Now, I wanted to give him enough damage to be able to one-shot the pair of those guys without getting caught and killed. And ideally, in an ideal circumstance, you're going to have your teammates engage from the front side, causing enough of a distraction to give you enough time to be able to go in, kill the back line without getting hard crowd controlled by their enemy tank or by the enemy off tank. Okay, now, how do we do that? How do we get to the next level in damage in order to be able to one-shot the squishies late game? Well, it's honestly pretty simple. This isn't one of those groundbreaking builds where I changed the world. I really just went with the items that made the most sense. And next is Rank Breaker. Obviously, as we've been talking about the whole time, we get more attack damage. And considering how well Batman's abilities scale with attack damage, it's kind of a no-brainer. We also get the increased movement speed of 10% after exiting battle, which is no big deal. Not really a huge pro or con. I mean, it's not a con, it's just not a huge pro. And then, of course, we get the unique passive Break, which increases armor pierce by 100 plus 10 per level. So at this point, we'll probably be close to level 15. So we'll end up getting a total of 250 armor pierce. Now, the combination of Spear Longinus and Rank Breaker at this point in the game can give us, once we have our stacks up, 500 armor pierce, which is a very solid amount of armor pierce. So this is going to increase, give us enough armor pierce to where we can pretty much go through any armor that the enemy, most of the armor that the enemy marksmen and mages will be able to have gotten. And we have enough attack damage now. We have 125 with Soul Reaver at this point because we have our 15 stacks. We have 80 with Spear Longinus, giving us 100 of a 205, a total of a 205, and then we have another 110 from Rank Breaker, giving us a total of 315. So what we're doing to end the game, of course, is going with even more damage to ensure that when everyone is fully built, Batman can still one-shot or come really, really close to one-shotting all the squishies in the backline so he can properly do his job. Now, how we're going to do that is, of course, with Fenrir's Tooth. Not only does that give us 200 more attack damage, putting us at a total of 515, but of course it also gives us the incredible passive. Fenrir's Tooth increases all damage dealt by 30% when the target's HP is below 50%. So this actually plays out in a pretty interesting way because of a couple different ways. Number one, when you jump in, when you hit somebody with a batarang, you jump in, especially the backline squishies, you're going to be getting them below 20%. So now you have the batarang that's going to explode after 3 seconds, taking off 24% of the missing HP. So if you get them below 50%, now it's 24% of the missing HP plus an extra 30% damage to that batarang explosion. So once you get fully built, if you go in, you do your combo and you don't necessarily finish somebody off, if you do it correctly, I guarantee you if they're not dead, they're going to be pretty darn close, maybe 10-20% health, and that should be plenty of damage done for battering to be able to finish them off. So you conceivably could go in, not necessarily kill them all the way, and just walk away or get out of dodge as fast as you can, knowing that your batterings will finish the job. This is a pretty high damage build with Batman. It's going to have really nasty burst damage. It has enough armor pierce to make a difference, but it also has plenty of attack damage to be able to scale with his abilities and really give him the best bang for his buck. Alright guys, so this is the build that we're going to be going with on Batman, whether you're playing him in jungle correctly or playing him incorrectly in top lane. This is the best build to use in either scenario, so I'm not even going to bother giving you guys a fake top build because I don't believe in it. If you have to go top lane with Batman, take Soul Reaver, take this build, because it's going to be the absolute best thing for him. Okay, now, as always, we're going to head over to Arcana, talk about which Arcana to be taking with Batman, and we're going to be going straight to our 80 pen build that we have, which is going to be starting off with the first one, which is Onslaught. 2 attack damage and 3.6 armor pierce per, giving him a total of 20 attack damage and 36 armor pierce when you buy all 10 onslaughts. Good start to our Arcana life. Next, we're going to the one that makes absolutely the most sense with him, and that is going to be Assassinate. Both of these to me are just undisputable. Those are the two best red and purple Arcanas for him, hands down. 1.6 attack damage and 1% movement speed. So we're going to be getting 10% movement speed from these after we get 10 and 16 attack damage. That's going to put us at 36 attack damage, 36 armor pierce, and 10% movement speed. Now we're moving on to our greens, and honestly, there's only one really good direction ahead in this one, in my opinion, also, and that, of course, is going to be Skewer. Another 0.9 attack damage, giving us a total of 45 attack damage after we have 10 of each of those built out, and then 6.4 armor pierce, which gives us another 64. So we have 45 attack damage, 100 armor pierce. And remember, guys, your Arcana is really used for the early game mostly. It does help late game, but it makes you stronger early game. So now you're going to start each and every game with 100 armor pierce and 45 attack damage, making your jungle clears faster, making your securing of dragon and objectives faster, and of course helping you kill towers faster. But the most important reason why is helping your ganks be more successful, because you're going to be doing a lot more damage early game to those enemy units. Sorry, enemy heroes. Now, the 10% movement speed is also obviously nice, but 100 armor pierce is just amazing. And this is going to give us a total of 600 armor pierce by end game when we get our stacks on Spirit Longinus. Alright, now of course we're going to go and talk real quick about the talents. And of course, Punish is the talent you got to take because we're taking the jungle item. Now Punish obviously helps you secure monsters by giving you true damage to monsters nearby, but once you build up into your second tier and third tier of jungle items, you will unlock the second version of Punish, which is called Frostbite. Frostbite deals damage to all enemies around you and slows their movement speed down. It's actually one of the best talents in the game by a solid mile. I think it's very, very vastly underrated, and that's the reason why I don't mind taking it in lane, because not only am I getting the item I want, but I'm also getting a very, very useful talent. It's great for securing Dragon and Dark Slayer, but it's also good for just using regularly to help clear waves, you know, help secure Seagull, and help secure the Mini Dragon or the Bat in the Dark Slayer lane, which gives you obviously your whole team gold and gives you a health regeneration bonus. So it helps you kind of, you know, if you want to be somebody in top lane who's able to roam into the enemy jungle and steal a minion or steal a buff, yeah, what's going to help you a lot with that, of course, is going to be Punish. So Punish is a great talent to be taken regardless. But that is it, guys. That is our Batman how to build video all wrapped up. Here is the build once more to recap. First item is Soul Reaver. Second is Gilded Greaves. Third is Spirit Longinus. Fourth is Frost Cape. Fifth is Rank Breaker. And coming in last is Fenrir's Tooth. Guys, that is it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, and of course subscribe to the channel, and prepare for our hero quick look video on Batman, which is going to kind of explain to you the basics of who Batman is, give you some pros and cons to figure out if Batman is a good hero for you. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, until next time,